Hi, everybody. It's great to see you all. Thank you for joining us. My name is Patrick Piper. I work with the California Prevention Training Center. I'm actually down south. I followed the migration and I now live in Palm Springs, California. So I'm doing what I needed to do. And I'm joining you from Palm Springs, where it's absolutely beautiful right now. And we have Pride coming up. So come on and join us for that. It's my duty and pleasure to be here to guide us in a conversation about reaching hard to reach populations. And so let's jump right into it. Um, if we can go to the first question, and I encourage us to come off chat. Let's have a discussion. Put your cameras on, if you will. Let's be together as a group. The first question I have for us is, what has been your experience in using social media to engage hard to reach populations? So specifically for HIV prevention, of course, but what's been your experience? For those of you who've done it, for those of you who have some experience around this area, please share your thoughts, your experiences. I'll open it up to anybody. Don't be shy.
It was a little bit of a challenge at first, Patrick. Before me joining the team here at Oakland LGBTQ Center, I was working at a previous agency, and it was just a challenge to do HIV prevention, just to keep like the anonymity of clients, keep from outing anyone. Some clients were even nervous to like share or tag other people, for people like assuming that they were living with the virus, or regardless if they are or weren't. That just was like a challenge with doing that.
Thank you, Anita.
I think now the plus is where I am now, when we do outreach, is pretty much generalized, and we do image blasts and we do photos, and we have people create signs, or we get permission to use images, and so that just kind of keeps it general, and so we're not outing anyone or disclosing sensitive information.
Great. And so what I'm hearing is that some of the challenges that you faced were concerns around anonymity. And it's interesting because people often consider the internet, more anonymous. I can be anonymous more, on the internet. However, we know that's really not true. In fact, sometimes you're less anonymous on the internet because things can be traced and that kind of a thing. So one of the challenges were people concerned about their anonymity, and people concerned about maybe assumptions that because they were associated with this project or associated with your agency, they might have HIV. And so there would be a breach of confidentiality there as well. Can I put you on the spot and ask, so those being challenges, and by the way, everybody, we are keeping track of all of this discussion. And so we'll make kind of a summary somehow available to you afterwards so that you'll be able to access this. So, but let me ask you, Anita, how did you overcome some of these challenges, or did you? If you were able to get past some of those concerns about anonymity, how did you address that?
I mean, now it's so much easier to just get information out there with the job where I am now. I mean, we have peer workers that assist us. We have phone trees. We have people that we have this constant open communication. It makes it a lot easier. And we can also share the information in pretty much all of our affinity support groups. And so then from there, participants can at will share the information with people out in community. So I think it's like that shared experience that kind of helped with hurdling the previous challenge that I had.
Great.
With my before employer.
So through the use of some social networks and social networking strategies, maybe, you were able to get some key people involved, and through their involvement, they assured their peers, for example, that, you weren't going to be outed, or that your anonymity will be protected, and that kind of thing. So word of mouth.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's very powerful. Thank you for sharing. others. And let me see what we've got here in chat. We've got a couple things in chat, but others, please share what your experiences has been. Have you had success? Have you had challenges?
Yeah, so far in the chat, Patrick, I'll help you out there. We have just a little bit of love for you. Someone says, good to see you. And another comment about Instagram has been a great way to advertise testing events, especially if other accounts like our local pride organizations share them.
Great. So Instagram, I'm hearing that also I heard in Zami's presentation that the things today are TikTok, right? And Instagram, those are the platforms that the younger people are using more. Great. Others, what, come off mute. Tell us, what have been your experiences? I know that many of you probably have some experience in using social media for these purposes.
Good to see you, Patrick.
Lori.
I manage the HIV prevention program for the County of San Diego, and I know there's some folks here from my county, from my programs, and some of our partners that would maybe say more specifics, but I'll just say a few overarching things. We got funding for Project Pride, which is trans-specific, and some of the website and work that we did regarding social media, and having one of our very well-known local gatekeepers, if anybody who knows Tracy O'Brien, she's been doing this work for a long time on billboards and stuff, but also social media on banner ads and things like that. And I know Lynn Carson is here, not that I'm not expecting Lynn to say anything, but I still hear that those web hits, getting people to services from that is still active. So it was having really specific funding to really be able to do some stuff. And then we funded it to go countywide, and that was a positive result. I'll also acknowledge, Eric Rodriguez does these Facebook Live things. I'm not even sure if he's using Facebook or doing Facebook Live, but using those kinds of methods to engage people has been effective in our county. We don't get a lot of money to do this kind of work because the state California Department of Health has said we can't do any large campaigns. So there's not a lot of training these days. So that's why I'm here, and maybe others in my jurisdiction are interested in. We are doing it, and we're doing it at small scale. And recently, because of monkeypox, we put a lot of money into the dating apps, and we're, everybody's seeing declines in monkeypox, and I think it is working. The last comment I'll make is, we talk about these hard to reach populations, and it's often not that they're hard to reach, that they're hardly reached. Have you guys heard that term? They're hardly reached. We just haven't done it. So people who inject drugs is a population that I am really interested in, figuring out how to engage, and we be interested in other people's successes and learnings with that population. We're looking at doing some social networking strategy in that population, and the county had a ban on needle exchange for over 2 decades and lifted the ban last year. So we're really looking at, how are we going to promote these services, and how do people who inject drugs access and utilize media? If anybody wants to comment on successes, I'd be all ears. Thanks.
That's why we're here, and thank you, Lori, for sharing. So let's talk about that. So for those of you who have experiences in working with hardly reached populations, and I love that, my background, just so you know, way back in the day, is I worked on an intervention called Community Promise, and at the time we were in the research phase of that, and my population was men who have sex with men who don't identify as gay. And everybody kept telling me they were a hard to reach population. Well, guess what? Not really. You just have to have the right people doing the right things, reaching them. And so, the use of social network strategies was very effective for us. And I see Ty Few, who I know has some experience here. Ty.
Yeah, I just want to say I would really love for us to change some of our language around this. These populations are not, they may be hard to reach or invisible to the people who are writing these grants, people who are leading these programs, but these people are not invisible. And we have this language that makes people feel like they're invisible because we don't know anything about them. We need to stop that. Number two, we need to be bold enough to hire people who actually do know these communities and let them do the work that they need to do, and stop with strategies that we think may work, but let the people who know the communities do the work And that requires a lot of us in leadership, and this includes me, to be willing to try people who are not conventionally in the workforce. And that is important to do.
Thank you. Very, very true. And so, you know, thinking about how can we increase the number of people from the community that are actually working and doing this in order to get them involved with maybe recruitment or, you know, disseminating information and that kind of a thing. They're people from the community. Earlier, somebody mentioned gatekeepers. And yes, so finding out who those gatekeepers are is vitally important as well. Spending some time to get that that type of information from the community. And I just want to also comment on something Lori brought up, and that is, how can we earmark funding so that we can support these types of activities? For example, a social network strategy, you know, they work best when you're able to provide incentive of some sort. And so, but we need to think about that up in advance. We need to be thinking about what type of incentive do we need, how much do we need, and that kind of a thing. So be thinking about when you're applying or you're redirecting funds, these things do cost money. And so plan on that in advance. And I see Zami's hand raised as well. Zami.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to expand a little bit more on what Ty said. In my presentation, one of the things I said was the youth did not see themselves in the staff at the time. And so, you know, once the folks who were hired for the grant were there, and people learned the demographic of the staff. So for example, you know, as you all saw, I'm a Black person. I'm also transgender, and I was one of the first transgender people rehired to work in the youth program for a while. There had only been white cisgender folks, mostly cisgender women, who were running that youth program at the time. And they were trying to recruit transgender Black and queer youth. And so, you know, some of what we had said, they were saying we're having a hard time, but it's like, well, you don't represent the population and the demographic. And so once staff was hired from the community who looked like the demographic that they were reaching out to, it was much easier because we knew where to go to reach out to students or to the youth participants. We knew what language folks were using as well. And we were able to engage on different cultural levels outside of just being a part of the LGBTQ community. That gave us an entry point in bringing more people in as well. Because that was how we, even though we did the social media strategy, the fact that people saw that the staff looked different in the youth program really did make it safer for a lot of the youth who left the program because they felt like the program was racist. In all honesty, they're like, there's no staff here that look like us. We experience microaggressions, and I don't want to experience that when I'm just trying to access services. So, you know, it is really important to, when we reach out to populations, really understanding that we are the community we serve, and if we are trying to serve a community that we're not a part of, we need to get members of that community here. And it's not just our sexual orientation or gender identity, but we also need to look at socioeconomic background. We also need to look at educational background, need to look at race, ethnicity, etc.
Thank you. And thank you for underlining that. And so, you know, what is equally, if not more important than the message that we're sending is the messenger. And so having the right people in those positions to be able to really get the buy-in from the community and to gain the trust of the community is vitally important for everything that we do. You know, especially is what I want to say, especially when you're trying to reach these underground, that's another term that's been used, underground. Guess what? They're not underground, they're above ground, walking around at your grocery store, you know, at your post office. These are not people that are living in a cave somewhere. So at any rate, Robert, I see your hand is raised.
Hi there. Thank you, Patrick. I also was going to follow up on what Ty had said. Hello, Ty. Good to see you. In city and county health departments, it's the hiring process is often a big challenge. to getting a lot more diversity in the people that we would like to have working with us. People have to take tests, they have to get on lists, they have to be in the know about finding out about how to take tests and find out about positions. So that, I feel like, I guess I'm good at stating the problem, not necessarily offering a solution. I know that a lot of city and public health departments in California use a well-known grant management organization. I won't say their name because they're also kind of notorious and not necessarily well liked, but they are a way, if you receive grant funds, to be able to hire and to administer programs outside of the city and county system, so that you don't have to put the grant money into the city and county and then abide by all of the structures that prohibit us a lot of times from hiring the people that we would like to hire. And anybody's welcome to, if they don't know the company that I'm talking about, you're welcome to email me and I'll be happy to tell you the name of that company.
He'll be getting all sorts of emails like right now. Tell us, give us the tea. Come on, give us the tea. So we've been talking a lot. I want to make sure that we address these other questions. We've been talking a lot about challenges. I think that's interesting because we asked what your successes were or challenges. Before we move on, does somebody have one success, really something they found successful in using social media or something that worked well? And I see Erica just raised your hand. Erica, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Erica, and I'm on a border town called Laredo here in Texas. So what helped us was actually, I work in a health department. So we have a couple of budgets that we're able to get together and work with actual media, which was a radio station here locally. And most of our population is Spanish speaking. And our target is for women because we have a lot of, like everybody, have certain struggles and stuff with certain populations. In our area, we have a struggle for women to come in for testing and screening. So, but they do listen to a very local Spanish radio station called La Raza. So, or the people, right? Because we're majority Hispanic, Mexican descent in our area. So we would partner with different programs within our health department, and we put in money to do a radio spot. It was actually called Informando la Raza, informing the population, or la gente, or the people. And it was an hour segment, but they would do it not only via their radio, but they would also stream it live via Facebook and their Instagram. So it was a whole hour segment sponsored by the health department, and we would have discussions on HIV testing, and it was very a group of DJs that had high energy, would make it fun discussion, and they would have also people submit questions through their WhatsApp application or through their own app of the radio station to us, and also through Instagram and Facebook Live. So we saw great success in that aspect when we were able to get those programs together, because every day was a different topic. And we were able to partner and do HIV one day, WIC another day, diabetes another day. So that hour was specifically for us. So we saw a huge turn of people coming in for testing, requesting more information, because it was just a chat, a conversation with some of the local DJs here, and they were able to stream it live through Facebook, like I said, through Instagram, and we were able to link it also through our Facebook accounts to be able to get a broader group of people to see it and view it and ask questions. So it was not only in Spanish, it was in English, and what we also call Tex-Mex, which is a mix of Spanish and English, so people could understand and ask questions. And it was in a fun environment where we made it interactive and have people be silly about condoms and let them know it was messy, and stuff. And the DJs were all playing with the condoms and the different things that were available and stuff. So we saw huge success in people asking more questions, coming in for services, because we made it the norm. Like, it was no big deal, because it is a big stigma here in our area in reference to HIV. because we're talking about sex.
Yeah.
You know, so we saw a huge success when linking social media with traditional media to be able to bring more people into our services.
Excellent. Thank you. You said so much there, Erica, and thank you for sharing all of that. It's so vitally important. And what I hear is that it's really important to consider what social media you use or what type of platforms are you using. And I'm hearing this from the beginning when we were talking about the use of Facebook versus TikTok, for example. It's like, you know, we need to spend some time to figure out which platforms or which media are going to resonate most with our populations, because they don't resonate the same with all populations, right? And I just want to also shout out to Laredo, Texas. I know that some time ago, there was a program, I believe they're still in existence. They had great success. They were working with youth and they wanted to talk about STD and HIV prevention with the youth, but guess what? The community didn't support that. They weren't ready to go there. So they had to go through a backdoor kind of another route, and they addressed bullying. And then what they did was they connected the bullying to higher rates of STD and HIV. And so my point, and the program had great success. They became supported by like the local baseball team and the whole 9 yards. You probably know who I'm talking about. But at any rate, just saying that sometimes we also have to address other issues that aren't necessarily the main issue on our agenda, right? But we need to somehow work that in order to gain buy-in. So thank you for sharing that. And I see Jack, we'll have one more comment on this and then I'm going to get to the next question. This is a great discussion. Jack. Jack Bunting, your hand is raised, but maybe you're on mute and you don't know it. I'm going to get a t-shirt that just says you're on mute. Well, I'll tell you, Jack, please. Oh, there you are.
Hey guys, sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. And great to be here. I'll make it quick. I was with Desert AIDS Project, now DAP Health. Such a great honor to serve at that organization. And it took so long for us to prepare the community for the rebranding from Desert AIDS Project to DAP Health. There was great concern that by removing the word AIDS, we were trying to, exhibit a lot of shame, when in reality, we're just opening up services to the whole community. It is a really successful FQHC. So Facebook is king or queen, whoever you're talking to, for that community. Most people are over 55. So we really rocked Facebook. We did have community meetings and town halls on Facebook. We leveraged radio. We leveraged the local news as well. But for us, it was one of those situations where Facebook, the unattractive Facebook or the boring Facebook, really did serve our purpose as well. And that's it for me, but thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing. And so again, what you're emphasizing are a couple things. You're emphasizing the proper medium for the populations that you're working with, right? Because
you betcha,
it's still relevant to some people, right? And so maybe we need to get the other thing I want to say two things really quickly. First, I put in chat during the last, before our break, and that was that, spend some time to do some formative data gathering, and it doesn't have to be exhaustive. And I know I'm using public health terminology. Just spend some time, throw a couple focus groups, have some pizza, get your population together and have a discussion about what they find resonates with them. And that way it's going to do two things. It's going to give you some foundation and some backing when your boards or your city council says, oh, what are you doing here? Why are you using this or showing that video clip? You're able to say, we gathered this data and this is the video clip people wanted to see. This is what they said. These were the programs they mentioned. This was the approach they thought we should use. Do that, and then I'll emphasize the importance, which Jack just brought up, of sharing your findings back with the community. We so often go in and we do these programs, but we don't let the community know what we're doing. And so don't forget, do those town halls, run some ads in the paper, highlight your programs and share it back with the community, because what that's going to do is trickle down. Your community, your program becomes more known in the community and more supported, and so on and so forth. And I know this is probably nothing new to any of us, but just to remind us to do these things. Let's go to thank you all. Let's go to the next question. And I want to make sure I do my job and get these questions in here. So the next question is going to be, I'm going to ask it, but then it should come up on the slides. But here we go.
It's here, Patrick.
It's there. Here we are. Okay, so reflecting on what you have heard so far, and what Zami shared with us, or anything that we've talked about, what is one strategy that you might consider, that you think you might try to use or you have used to reach hard to reach populations through social media? We've heard a lot of great ideas. Let's hear from somebody about what are you thinking about now? Wheels are turning. Maybe you've tried it. Maybe you haven't yet, but you're thinking about it. And Che, thank you. I was hoping I saw your comment in chat. Please talk to us.
Hi, I work for Sunburst Projects in Sacramento. One thing that we did was kind of off of our Pride booth at our big Pride event. We did a ring toss on a dildo and we got people's emails for a drawing with an Xbox being the prize. And we advertised that on our social media, and we got a lot of followers that way because that was where we were announcing who won. But we also had radio ads that were bringing in people because it was talking about coming in to get the incentive gift card, or if you came and saw us at Pride, you could enter to win this Xbox. So it really was about going through multiple places in multiple ways. But really the biggest takeaway that we had for it was knowing our audience. Like we did the ring toss at Pride because it's Pride and it was funny, and we had a line across Capitol Mall to come and do this activity. And then we're doing like a family friendly kind of festival at the end of this month for more outreach. And we're making treat bags for the adults that have like lube and condoms and stuff in them. So our biggest thing is just making sure that we're paying attention to who we bring in with what we're doing. We got a lot of younger gay people from Pride, and we've gotten a lot of older straight people or people on the DL from the radio stations because they hear it and they're hearing about it for possibly the first time.
Right.
So,
yeah, thank you for that. And so the ring toss on the dildo, not just for birthday parties anymore. We can use it as probably to recruit our populations, right? So thank you for sharing that. And I'm hearing loud and clear that using maybe somewhat larger media, maybe television or certainly radio, can really help support our efforts as well. And I think what that does is it also gives a sense that this is becoming a norm in the community. This, whatever it is that you're doing is supported by the community. And so those can be very powerful. And I see that Rose agrees. Rose, talk to us.
Well, as far as a couple of strategies that I'm considering, one of them is definitely, and this is less social media, but just in general thinking about it, combining multiple services. The health department itself, we have a reproductive health clinic, and I'm just formulating like, okay, in our next sexual, like STI testing event, do we have a family planning nurse there? Like maybe, or just bringing in, because just the thought of making it so that people don't have to make multiple appointments to access services. And then I love the thought of interacting with local radio personalities, because we're a smaller town, so people know the local radio station, and not discounting it. I'm a little younger, so I think I tend to discount radio as something that is not good at reaching people, but especially if it's a personality and especially if there's opportunity for discussion. I thought those were both wonderful ideas.
Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing. And again, what I heard you say there, Rose, was also learning what is going to resonate with your community and using multiple approaches, because, not one medium is going to necessarily resonate with everyone. And so using multiple approaches will be something important to consider as well. Let's move on to the last question. We're just pressed for time. I want to make sure that I get my questions in for you. I love the fact that you're also participatory. And the last question is, how would you, and Rose, you were a perfect segue into this question. How would you engage your internal and other external partners in supporting your social media strategies? And so you're talking about making sure that you have a family planning person at your event. How would you go about engaging other people into your programs? Or who else might you think about engaging? So let's talk about that for a minute or two. What are some ways that you've engaged people in the past? What are some ways that you might think about engaging new partners, maybe that haven't been at the table? Let's see a message in chat. Mention them in your posts. There you go. Word of mouth. Thank you, Jack. So mentioning them in your posts, anything that you do, mention them in your posts. What else? How else can you engage and gain buy-in as well from some of your partners?
Just want to mention real quickly what Zami shared in his presentation, the fact that there was a collaborative in how they used the Jersey Shore Watch Night to streamline their processes with the partners in the collaborative. So that could be something to think about for those folks who are part of a collaborative effort and, you know, doing some type of a streamlined effort, and similar to what Zami shared in his presentation.
Thank you. Thank you for that reminder. Yes. So building those collaborations, having, you know, your boards in place and that kind of thing. Erin is saying that they did Facebook Live with the local media group in order to do some outreach for an outreach and testing event. Great. I'm seeing participate. Erica says participate in local health coalitions in your community. Yes, the power of coalitions. And again, Preston agrees. Tag them in your posts, share them in your messages. You know what? I'll also say that it's something so simple, and so I've seen throughout the years so many people overlook this very simple thing. Guess what? Let your internal partners know. If you're in an agency that has multiple services, for example, it's hard to know what everybody's doing. And I may not know what the second floor is doing on the first floor. You know what I mean? I may not know what people in my own agency are all doing. So spend some time, attend those staff meetings, put together a 10-minute presentation about your program and what it is you're doing, and show it to everybody. Go to the staff meetings, and then go out and with your external partners and ask to attend their staff meetings. This is very easy stuff to do, but just make your program widely known. And what that will do over time is just kind of snowball. And then everything is supported by the community, and you all know the rest. So anything else? I think we just got like one more hot minute. I'm probably over, but anything else anybody wants to add? This has been a great discussion. I know we could spend hours, but I'm going to turn it back over. Thank you, everybody, for letting me talk with you about this. And Shavard.